الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة العرشه ومداد كلماته ومنتهى علمه وجميع ما شاء وخلق وذرأ وبرأ علم الغيب وشهادة الرحمن الرحيم الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون أما بعد فيقول الله تعالى في كتابه إنما المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون صدق الله العظيم. Alhamdulillah, we praise Allah, send peace and blessings upon His beloved Prophet, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah for bringing us together for another Yawmul Juma'ah, the day about which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O you who believe, when the call is made for Friday prayer, hasten to the remembrance of Allah. وَذُرُوا الْبَيْعَ, and leave off all business. That is better for you if you but knew. Though it's not the topic of the khutbah today, I just want to spend a few brief moments talking about this ayah. Allah addresses the believers with a harf al-nida'a when He says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. So Allah is explicitly and directly addressing the Muslims. And He says, إِذَا نُودِيَ لِلصَّلَاةِ مِنْ يَوْمِ الْجُمَعَةِ فَاسْعَوْا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَذُرُوا الْبَيْعَ. When the call is made for Yawmul Jum'ah, Friday prayer, hasten, run to the remembrance of Allah, hurry up, and leave off all business. Now, when Allah says hasten to the remembrance of Allah, He doesn't mean that when you on your way to the masjid that you run, that you literally run, or that you rush, or if you're driving, you start speeding. Doesn't mean that. What Allah means is that we make preparation so that we come to the Jummah prayer as early as possible. And the Prophet ﷺ explicitly spoke about this when he talked about the rewards of those who come to Yawmul Jumu'ah early. he mentioned the reward of the one who comes earliest as if he's getting a reward of a cow, etc. And then he made mention that when the imam stands on the minbar to begin the khutbah, the recording angels close up their books, because the angels, there are angels at every masjid recording who comes to Jumu'ah and who gets there early. And then when the imam stands to give the khutbah, those angels stop recording. So we should remember to come to Jumu'ah early. It's not like church, and I grew up as a Christian, so I know being in church, it wasn't no half hour, 1 hour thing. You were in there for at least 2-3 hours. And you know, as black folks, we like to talk, so that could be 4 or 5 hours. And that's if your mother didn't make you stay for the afternoon service. So Allah gave you a benefit or a blessing where we're only required 1 day, 1 moment of a day. And if you look at Yawm al-Jamaa'ah, it's during the time of Salatul Dhuhr, the afternoon prayer. And Allah doesn't make it obligatory upon us to stay in Jumu'ah for the whole time of Salatul Dhuhr, just for a short portion. And it is my opinion that when you see people taking Yawm al-Jumu'ah lightly, it's a sign that the Ummah is going down and down and down. There was a time when Muslims, and during this, our generation I'm talking about, I'm not talking about 1400 years ago. There was a time when people took Jumu'ah seriously. They prepared their clothes the night before. They made it their business to get there early. And sometimes we don't appreciate a thing until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes it away from us. Like if you're in jail or in prison, and sometimes you can't go to Jumu'ah, even though you want to go to Jumu'ah. Sometimes you prepare to go to Jumu'ah and the COs mess with you. They don't open your cell, so you can't go to Jumu'ah. And so those brothers and sisters recognize that as a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to go to Jumu'ah. Well, a lot of us in the free world, we take it for granted. We work through Jumu'ah. We show up late. Or we just lackadaisical about it. We don't dress properly. We're supposed to wear our cleanest clothes for Yawm al-Jumu'ah. And we should be ashamed of ourselves, because An-Nasara, the Jews, they dress up for Sunday. They get real pretty. They wear their best outfits. If somebody's cell phone goes off during a church service, everybody looks at them. Because they think, they recognize, or at least in their opinion, their service is sacred. But at the same time, we have al-haq, we have the truth. We have the perfect book that has not been corrupted, but we treat it as if we don't have it. Allah says, leave off all business. That is better for us if we but knew. So this is a reminder we should, take our Yawm al-Jumu'ah very seriously, because not everybody that wants to go to Jumu'ah can go to Jumu'ah. And this is a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, hasten to the remembrance of Allah. That's a command. That's fi'l amr. Hasten to the remembrance of Allah, wadhurul bay'ah, and leave off all business. These are commands. That means it's wajib. It's obligatory for us to treat Yawm al-Jumu'ah in this fashion. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ورضي الله تعالى عن سادة التابعين وعلماء العاملين وأئمة الأربعة المجتهدين ومقلدين إلى يوم الدين. وبعد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إنما المؤمنون إخوة. فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ أَخَوَيْكُمْ وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. Only the believers are brothers. Only the believers are brothers. Therefore, make peace or rectify what is between the brothers so that you can receive Allah's mercy. And Allah's mercy being upon us is a sign of brotherhood. And brotherhood is a sign of Allah's mercy being upon us. You know, every time I mention this verse, I recall an incident that took place even before this verse was revealed. I remember what took place at the Battle of Brotherhood. The Battle of Brotherhood, which took place a year and some change after the Hijrah from Mecca to Medina. Nobody expected the Muslims to come out victorious. They were outnumbered, 313 Muslims versus 1,000, better equipped, better armed, disbelievers of the Quraysh. But Allah gave them victory. And they had prisoners. The Muslims had prisoners of war. And one of the prisoners of war, his name was Abu Aziz. Abu Aziz is the brother of an early Sahaba named Mus'ab ibn Umayr. So while they were leading the prisoners of war back to Medina, Mus'ab and his brother Abu Aziz, they saw each other. Now Abu Aziz, he's thinking in his head, and he's the one telling the story because he later on became Muslim. But he's thinking in his head, there goes my brother. Even though he's Muslim, I'm not Muslim. You know, these his peoples that got me, you know, as a prisoner. Maybe he can intervene, and maybe I can get my freedom. So when Mus'ab gets close to him, he tells the Ansar, the Muslims of Medina, known as the helpers, the Ansar, he tells them, make sure you tie him tight. He didn't go, hey bro, what's up, what's going on? Why you have to go over with it? There was no extra talk like that. He didn't even address him. Make sure you tie him tight. And then he said his mother got a lot of money. And we better get a nice ransom for him. And we ransom our prisoners. Abu Aziz was like, whoa, wait a minute. How can you say this? You're my brother, my blood brother. Mus'ab ibn Umayr says, you're not my brother. Says the ones who are tying you up, they are my brothers. This is somebody who has the same mother and the same father. Same mother and same father. He's telling him, you're not my brother. Why? Because you are on the side of falsehood, fighting against truth. You were fighting against what I believe in. These are my brothers here, right here, the one that's tying you up. And I said this incident always reminded me of this verse, which was revealed way after this incident took place. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ. Only the believers are brothers. That word inama is what they call adat al-hasri. Is when you restrict something to something else. In this case, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is restricting brotherhood to belief. Our brotherhood is only by means of belief. Our iman. Belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what makes brotherhood. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ أَخَوَيْكُمْ. Therefore make peace between brothers. This is another command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make peace, rectify the situation between the brothers, لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ, so that you may gain Allah's mercy. One thing that I've recognized over all of these years is that brotherhood is not something that's theoretical. Brotherhood is not something that's, you can read about it on paper and it's real. Brotherhood is something that has to be practiced. It's tangible. You can see, smell, taste, and touch it. Brotherhood. I'm not saying we all brothers. If a brother comes in here right now and says, "No, alhamdulillah, I'm glad my Muslim brothers, I really sincerely need some help. My situation is real bad. Can you help me?" And we all turn our back on him. Is that brotherhood? It says it in the Quran. It says the believers are brothers in the Quran. You can see it. The ayat is right there. Surah Hujurat is right there. That's not brotherhood. He's not going to feel that brotherhood. He's going to feel alienated. Even though we could quote the verses and we could quote the hadith all day. Brotherhood is something that must be practiced. Brotherhood is something that must be practiced. And this is a ni'mah, one of the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. Not only do we have Islam, not only do we have the brotherhood, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us how to practice it, just in case we can't get that right. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, as it was narrated by Abu Hurairah, Haqqul Muslim al-Muslim comes. The rights of a Muslim on another Muslim are 5. Raddus salam, returning the greetings. We know from the book of Allah that when somebody gives us greetings, we should return it with one equal to it or better. And that doesn't only mean the greeting itself, the spirit in which you give it. If somebody says, Assalamu alaikum, you should say, wa alaikum salam. Technically, you said the same thing. You returned it equally, but look at your posture, your demeanor. You didn't even mumble it. Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. You didn't even want to give it. You didn't even look at it. It's not brotherhood. That's not fulfilling his rights. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in another hadith, he said, "La tadkhulu jannata hatta tu'minu." None of you, or you can't believe until you can't enter Jannah, paradise, unless you believe. Wa la tu'minu hatta tahabbu. And you can't believe until you love one another. Can't enter paradise until you believe. You can't believe unless you love one another. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said after that, "Should I not show you something? That if you do it, you will love one another." And then he said, "Afshu salam bainakum." Spread the salams amongst each other. And don't underestimate the salams. Salams is not like hello and goodbye and good morning and good evening. Something completely different. As-salam is an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's actually a dua or a supplication that we're making for each other. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the author of as-salam. He's the one who can give peace. He gives peace. And from him comes peace. So when you're asking, when you're saying peace be upon you, you asking that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant that person safety and serenity and all of those things that as-salam means. So don't think it's hello and goodbye. It's not the same. Hello and goodbye. So again, the rights of a Muslim on another Muslim are 5. The first one, he said, Raddus salam. And then he said, Iyadatul Marid, visiting the sick. And subhanAllah, most of you know myself, I was sick a few days ago. I didn't even announce it. And brothers came visiting me. How do you think that made me feel? Brothers got at me on the inbox from the other side of the planet. How do you know I'm sick? I didn't put it on Facebook. How did you know? Word got around. How do you think that made me feel? Alhamdulillah, the brotherhood. How do you think I would have felt if nobody said anything? If I announced it, brothers knew I was, Assalamu alaikum brothers, I'm in the hospital sick. Put it on Facebook, 1 like, right? Why are you clicking like? You like the fact that I'm sick? Or what? You know? How do you think that would have made me feel? You might say, you the imam. Nah, I can bear witness in this community right here. Brothers have been sick, brothers check on them. That wasn't because I was imam, it's because there's a sense of brotherhood here. Brotherhood has got something that must be practiced. Can't just talk about it. You can imagine somebody stood up here and said, you know, the rights of a Muslim or another Muslim are 5. And one of them is that we visit the sick. And brother's in the hospital sick. Go visit him. And nobody visit him. What kind of brotherhood is that? Just on paper, it's not real. Iyadatul Marid. And so may Allah bless all of you who came to see me, who didn't come, who checked on me and everything like that. And may Allah increase it and make it more. Because it is these things that bring the hearts together and make real brotherhood. Not just talking about it, not just quoting the hadith in class and memorizing it, but practicing it. Sometimes we may not know a hadith, but we practice it. Iyadatul Marid, or Tibai Janaiz, and following the funeral, following the burial procession. Again, one thing I noticed in this community right here, I put out announcements at the last minute, late in the evening on a day. There's a janazah for such and so. Tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. I know this is last minute. Please try to make it if you can. And a whole bunch of believers show up. People changing their schedule. This is something that's good. A lot of people don't have this. A lot of people, they oscillate. They go from this community, that community. Nobody knows them in any community. And then they die, they can't find anybody to bury them. If they're sick, nobody knows that they're in a hospital. Nobody knows anything about them. And they don't realize that it's partly their fault because they don't have no community that they belong to. Nobody knows anything about them. Then they further isolate themselves even more. I was sick, nobody came to check on me. I ain't messing with the Muslims no more. I'm hanging with the disbelievers. They care about me more. Tabaul Janaiz, following the funeral procession. And Ijabah to Da'wah, responding to the invitation. When somebody invites you to something, a gathering or an event or an occasion, you should try your best to make it. Responding to the invitation. Wa tashmitul atis, and responding to the sneezer. When somebody sneezes, they say Alhamdulillah, you say Yarhamukullah. That's the rights that we have on each other. There's not even a choice about that. But doing those things tightens the brotherhood. It's been narrated, and Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, al-Muslimu man salima muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadihi, wal-muhajiru man hajra nahallahu anhu. Hada hadith mutafiqun alayh. It was been narrated by Abdullah, the son of Amr ibn al-As, may Allah be pleased with both of them, who said that al-Muslimu, the Muslim, in parentheses, the real Muslim, al-Muslimu, man salima muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadihi. The Muslim, the real Muslim, is the one who the other Muslims are safe and protected from their tongue and their hands. See, as a Muslim, nobody should have to worry about your tongue and your hands abusing them. This hadith you can also find in Riyadh al-Salihin. Bukhari Muslim is a well-known hadith. Al-Muslimu man salima muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadihi. The Muslim, the real Muslim, Al-Muslimu man salima muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadihi. The Muslim is the one who the other Muslims are protected from the abuses of their tongue and their hands. Their tongue and their hands. If that's not the case, you find a breakdown in the brotherhood. Because you have to understand that we have to get out of this mindset where we think everything is purely physical. We're made up of two things. We're made up of something that's physical, and we're also made up of a soul, a ruh. We're made up of a jasad, a body, and a ruh, and a spirit. And our spirits intermingle with each other, sometimes outside of our bodies. And this is well known and it's been proven. Just for if you want to study deeper, just look in Surah Al-A'raf, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions how He asked all of Bani Adam, all of the children of Adam. He extracted everybody from the loins of Adam and said, Alastu bi rabbikum. And all of us said, Bala shahidna. Of course we bear witness. When you study the commentary of when that took place, that was a day of souls. And there's a lot of hadith speaking about that. You ever met somebody that you don't have no beef with them, they don't have no beef with you, you never crossed paths with them before, there's no reason for you to dislike each other, but you just wish that they stay over there and you stay over here? Because on that day, your souls were real far apart from each other. You ever met somebody that you just click with? Even though he violates you, you violate him, but y'all just can't get enough of each other. Y'all just love each other. Y'all just like y'all just click. Because on that day, your souls, your spirits were real close to each other. On that day, when you said, Bala shahidna, of course we bear witness. The day of spirits. When you go to sleep, your spirit leaves your body. It's not restricted by your body. That's why in your sleep, you can live for like 3 weeks. You can do things that will take you 3 weeks or a month to do. And then you wake up, you look at the clock, you've been only sleeping for 45 minutes. Because your soul is not restricted by your body. So our souls have their own reality. That's why sometimes you can walk in a room and somebody that you don't know anything negative about, you always felt close to them before, then all of a sudden you get a bad vibe, as we call it. Why? You may not even know about it, but you may find out that later that person was talking trash about you. Then you say, I had a bad vibe. I remember that time I came and I felt something funny. Spiritually you felt it. You didn't know, you didn't have any proof. The Muslim is he who other Muslims are safe and protected from their tongue and their hands. وَالْمُهَاجِرُ مَنْ هَاجَرَ نَحَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ. The muhajir, the one who makes hijrah, the one who migrates for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What's the essence of the real muhajir? Not that you just get in your U-Haul truck and you move from point A to point B. Anybody can do that. What's the essence of making hijrah? Migrating from that which Allah has made prohibited. Migrating from a haram situation. That's the real hijrah. That's the essence of hijrah. A lot of people say, I need to make hijrah. I need to move from here. Why are you moving? You want to move from one haram situation to another haram situation? Or is it something here that's haram that you want to move away from? Making hijrah. And hijrah has many levels. But one thing that underpins all of that is making hijrah from that which Allah has made prohibited. Well, alhamdulillah, brotherhood is real. Brotherhood is tangible. Brotherhood is not something that you can talk about, on paper, that I can stand here and talk to you about on the member, but not practice it and expect it to come into fruition. It don't work that way. You have to practice it. If you want food, you have to cook it. You have to season it. And if you don't spend time tending to it, don't be upset when the food tastes horrible. Brotherhood is the same way. You have to work at it. And usually the strongest brothers, and of course, and this is something I want us to try to get away from. I'm saying brothers, 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 brothers. Obviously, I'm including sisters. When you say the word ikhwan in Arabic, you are including the sisters. And some of us say, well, when you say brothers only, you feel like you're leaving us out, the sisters out. That's not my intention. But at the same time, and I want to try to do my best to rectify that, but at the same time, our thinking needs to be consistent with the Quran. At some point, we have to say, okay, I'm going to stop trying to make my Islam submit to my thinking and the way things are, and try to make my thinking and the way things are submit to Islam. So when we say Ikhwan, that includes brothers and sisters. It's not just a boys' club. It's not only a boys' club. And so, in conclusion, lost my train of thought, but in conclusion, brotherhood is something that's tangible. You have to work at it. You have to prepare it like the best meals, you have to take a long time to cook it. It's not that microwave stuff. Like I mentioned, I was in the hospital. That microwave stuff, that stuff don't taste good. You can just dump a whole thing of salt on it. By the time you get enough salt to taste, enough salt on it to drown out how bad the food tastes, it's too much salt on it for you to eat it anyway. It's horrible. So, brotherhood is something similar. You have to prepare it and work at it. And sometimes, as I regained my train of thought, sometimes the most tightest brothers, the most tightest sisters are people who weren't always cool. Maybe they've been through stuff during the past, or maybe they've been through stuff together. They had to sacrifice for each other. That's why even people who fought militarily together, they had each other's back. Meaning if you don't have my back, I might die. And they held each other down. That's why sometimes people that have been through stuff together in the streets, they're very tight when they come together in Islam, because they've been in the trenches together. In Islam, it's the same way. You think you're just going to come here and just, I'm Muslim, and okay, we all brothers, it says so in the book, so we need to be brothers, and I should get the same love as somebody that put in work together. No, it don't work like that. You have to be there and accounted for, you have to sacrifice. To be part of this brotherhood, sometimes you have to be uncomfortable to make sure your brother's comfortable. You have to be uncomfortable to make sure your brother's comfortable. All of the brothers that came to visit me, did they have nothing else to do? They was bored? They got stuff to do. They made themselves uncomfortable to come visit me. That's brotherhood. You can't be comfortable all the time and expect for the brotherhood to happen. You have to make yourself uncomfortable so that your brother can be comfortable sometimes. And that's part of brotherhood. And that takes work. And it doesn't happen overnight. And we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring our hearts even closer to
Imam Naeem of Masjid Al-Mu'min and Nur Zaman Institute is available for speaking engagements. You can contact Imam Naeem Abdullah at the following: via telephone at 267-388-0823, or write him at 537 Paulson Avenue, Pittsburgh, PA 15206, or via email at imamnaeem@nurzamaninstitute.org.
Bismillah.